This is get the giggles out. Okay. Yeah.
So you definitely shouldn't share everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
You definitely want to have a sense of discernment around what you say, what your intention is, what is the purpose in you sharing your opinion, you know? Like for us, for example, we obviously we are
Yeah,
working.
I'm sharing my opinion.
You're sharing.
It ain't got nothing to do with me.
You know,
I'm not talking about me. Y'all talking about y'all out there. Me, I'm talking, right. But the rest of y'all should be sharing y'all.
I think people really just open their phone and want a sense of connection.
Yes.
So they want to feel validated in their opinions. Yes. They want someone to say. Because even I do it and not necessarily go online to share in that way, but like I will examine. I'll see a video and then in my mind I'll have an opinion. I'm like, who else is thinking this? And I'll look at the comments.
Like. Okay, same page. Same page.
So I think in a sense there's a part of us that seeking just a little bit of connection or validation in your thoughts. Some people, I can't speak for you. Like you need to go to therapy. You need to phone a friend. You know, I don't know what's happening. You know, some people, you can just tell their mental health is not.
It's not there.
It's not there, and
they need some more. It makes me think about when you say that. It makes me think about the weight celebrities hold in general. Let's talk about Ari Lennox, and that could be your POV. I don't think that's that crazy because Ari Lennox just reminds me, which is one thing I love and don't like about her. She reminds me of just some girl I know. Like she reminds me of the girl that's around the way, which is why I like her. But also why I don't like her because I'm like, girl, come on, you can't say that. Come on. But it's just like she has this weight as a celebrity that I think is very hard for people to adjust to sometimes. And when I say hard for people to adjust to, I mean celebrities themselves. Like it makes me think about like when you go back on like when Rihanna's old tweets were surfacing before she became famous. Yeah. Hey Rihanna, girl, what you talking about? But that was just her just talking, and it makes me think about creatives as a whole and how they say that the time where nobody knows you is the best time. Mm-hmm. Like when you're just putting out information and you're just doing things, and there's no like added pressure.
There's no added pressure. There's no sort of emotional entitlement.
Yes.
Because these parasocial relationships are getting out of hand.
I
need y'all to relax.
And that's what I don't like about social media. Is those relationships.
Yeah, I don't appreciate that either.
You do not know me, and we do not know them. Like it's literally okay.
Yeah, especially after filming this podcast, it's interesting because I feel like I realize how much you do almost have to make sure you're filtering as much as you can. But even then, you still don't know what's going to trigger somebody. You know, It's not ever the intention, ever. But we have to be able to flow and speak freely. As long as you mentioned earlier, the intention is not bad. And you're not harming people, and that will never be the case.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So... yeah, it is tricky, and I agree that everything should not be shared. But if you're feeling like you need a little connection, just call somebody.
Call a friend. Phone somebody in. But I think social media for creatives, the same reason that I'm like, we have too much information. It's the classic same old argument when it comes to social media. You need all that information. Like, it's great to have it as a creative, to have the platform, to be easily discoverable. Like, it's amazing in that light. And it's all about just the way you use social media and how you don't get too in the, what's it called? Brain rot of it.
Because it definitely can be.
And you're actually joining the community, right? Because that's the thing about being a creative is that your feed, now listen, I'm going to say something and whatever, your feed is your community. So whatever's on that feed is the community that you need to be involved with, because clearly it's the community that you like.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you're involving yourself in. Now, if your feed is crazy,
depends on what platform you're talking about. Because these algorithms, I said, who is this? These algorithms is getting a little...
I think Instagram. I'll go with Instagram.
Instagram? Okay.
I'll go with Instagram. Oh my gosh. Thinking of Instagram made me think of, how do you feel about these smart frames? And the meta glasses? Yes.
Ooh. Okay. I'll say that.
I hate them. I hate them.
Okay,
so,
why?
One, an article just came out about how people were using them for, like, of course, adult business and sending it to other people. Yes. Two, apparently, one of the producers was just telling me this. Apparently, they are filming while it's on. You don't have privacy, right? So you signed a document that says you have privacy. You do not. So they're filming it even when you're not filming it. Two, what they're doing is as you walk around your house, they're getting your house layout and sending it to sending that data to not retail, real estate people.
No.
Yeah. So you have to think. Have you seen Westworld before?
No, I haven't watched it.
Okay, it's a really great show.
Yeah.
But essentially, the whole concept of Westworld is you go to this place, it's nothing but robots. Okay. Right?
Yeah.
And you can do what you want to do. It's like an amusement park for robots. You shoot them up. It's like a Wild Wild West thing. And I think season 3, you find out that what they're actually doing there is taking the data from the host. Oh, and it's an amusement park that harvests humans' habits. And then, of course, the company does something with it, blah, blah, blah. But when you said social media, it made me think about how those smart frames are really just there for data. And Instagram and TikTok, they're such tricky places.
You think they're finding new ways to collect data from us, find out how they can package it, sell it, find out how they can make money, how they can track us. It's just so much. God.
Why do I have to say that? But no, it's as much as a creative, you use it for what you want to use it for, you use it for community. It's such a double-handed, it's such a double-edged sword. Because it's what they're doing with your data is crazy. Yeah. And they're actually using it, but it's one of those things where
we sign up for it.
They created this because you need social capital, social capital to make it.
Yeah.
You need that. Imagine, it's you have to make it first and then you can get off social media.
Yeah.
But you need social media to make it. As a brand, as anything, you need that platform. And it's they position themselves there, of course, through lobbying and stuff like that. But it's social media is such a age-old blessing and curse. But I feel we talked about this before. How I think it's going to be an intellectual renaissance. We talked about that. And then two, on the same hand as that, which we may have touched on in an episode, that there's going to be classism in a couple of years surrounding social media.
Yeah.
And classism in the fact of people that are analog versus people that are just digital. And it's going to go, the higher ups are going to try to do more analog things than more digital.
Yeah, no, I can see that. We're seeing that already.
We are.
It's kind of happening.
We are.
What has your Zeal this week?
Besides those smart frames.
Yeah.
Because those smart frames has been in my mind just because that industry is an industry that is projected to grow so much for the next 2 years. Ooh. And now that I know that information, I've seen them everywhere. Smart frames are everywhere. Meta is everywhere when it comes to that. But in general, just one of my zeals is really going to be jewelry and the influx of jewelry. So really within this year, global sales in jewelry is supposed to rise by around 21%, which is a lot. Yeah. It's a lot within the jewelry industry. And the jewelry industry is just an industry that is supposed to be growing so much within the next couple of years. And I think it really stems from the fact that everybody, we talked about it, touched on it a little bit in one of our previous episodes, how accessories is everything now. And people are really investing in those handbags. So what's the evolution of that? What's the next step, which would probably most likely be jewelry?
Yeah.
We see this influx of jewelry happening with the luxury industry lacking. So as of right now, luxury sales are just down. If you're not one of those top brands, and even those brands are they're getting a little iffy, to be honest. But accessories and jewelry as a whole is just really being leveraged to speak to like the individuality of everybody.
Yes.
And
because you're a jewelry girl.
as I am,
Yes.
I am, and I'm trying to think, have I always been? And the answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been a jewelry girl. I know people, not know people, but when you look at like some fashion girls, like they wear no jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
There's no jewelry on them, no earrings, no necklaces, no rings, no bracelets. And that's just not me.
Yeah.
That's not me. That's never been me. I've always been like a jewelry girl.
You can tell a lot about someone in their fashion sense and what type of style they have based on how they accessorize. And precisely what you said about girls or fashion girls in particular who don't wear any jewelry, that's a statement in and of itself.
It is.
And then for you on the other side of that, that is essentially the statement for you is the jewelry. And so for you, I know you had mentioned off camera that you like to do mostly vintage shopping.
Yeah. So I was looking at because when it comes to jewelry, it's like, to me, unless it's fine jewelry, I'm not investing in it.
Yeah.
I'm not investing in it. The piece isn't gonna last that long.
I agree.
Good. So typically when it comes to jewelry, I shop vintage. Like majority, 95% of the jewelry that I wear is all vintage. It's all vintage pieces. Just from the shops or eBay. I've purchased one of those like bags before, and it's like a $25 bag of just nothing but vintage jewelry. Yeah, it's literally, and you just go through it and like you pick it apart and yada yada yada. Or when people ask, I always recommend, if I'm not buying like fine jewelry, to invest in independent local jewelry. Like wherever you're at, if there's an independent jewelry designer that's around you, I would support them. If you're not buying fine, like if everybody's just buying wholesale, okay, just buy from the wholesale girl up the street.
Right.
Like, come on, like you don't have to go to a Old Navy. Well, Maywell has kind of good jewelry, honestly.
Yes,
J. Crew does too.
Yeah, I used to work at Maywell. Their jewelry is made from brass.
Exactly.
So it doesn't turn. It doesn't turn at all.
Maywell does. I have a couple Maywell pieces, but yeah, I recommend just shopping like independent more than anything. If you're gonna shop cheap little knick-knack jewelry, go do it from the girl up the street.
That makes sense.
Like literally just do that from her.
That makes sense.
You don't need to go to H&M to do that.
Yeah.
What about you? Do you have any jewelry brands that you love?
Yes, I do. And the thing about it too, when it comes to what you're talking about, it's making me, when you say individuality, it also makes me think about relics, because jewelry is such a staple when it comes to relics and people passing things down to their family members. I have a lot of jewelry that's been passed down from my late grandmother.
Oh, that's amazing.
She introduced, because she used to wear a lot of Swarovski. So whenever she wanted to give us a gift, my grandma did not play. Even I have this bracelet on now. This is something she bought me. It's real gold. She did not play. She always was like, it has to be real. So I hold on to fine jewelry very closely.
Yeah.
So as far as like brands, so Swarovski is one that I love because of that. It's more of like it's sentimental in that way. And then I also love Tiffany's, because that was the first piece of fine jewelry that I received on my 13th birthday from my mom. Oh. So I have a lot of stories connected to the jewelry that I wear. So Tiffany's. I also like M Jeweler, because my partner, my girlfriend, she really likes that's the brand that she would buy for me when gifting. So M Jeweler is how I got introduced to them, and then also Brook & York. And I like to give people Brook & York as well. So I'm a jewelry girl in the sense of like, again, I'm always thinking about the story and how the connection behind the pieces. And so not as much as vintage, but I do pay attention to brands who And I mean, that's what a lot of the jewelry branding is. Like when I see commercials or ads really around, it's really just about yes, it's about gifting and all of those things. So,
and you make a really great point because my connection to jewelry was my mother and my grandmother. Mm-hmm. So my mom was a young thing when she had me. So so I'm used to seeing like Black women with like gold jewelry on. Yeah. And like my grandmother was more of a minimalist with her jewelry, but even my grandmother on my dad's side, whole cabinet of jewelry. I remember I had something on. I was like, let me see one of your pieces, and she said, "Oh, baby, I don't wear costume." I said, "Oh, I don't need." Vintage. And she was like, "Oh, okay," because I don't. Because this is from Etsy. This is a girl from Etsy. Yeah. And this is vintage. So and this is vintage. Yeah, all these are pretty much vintage. And some of these are from my mom. Yeah. But I think that's the great thing with jewelry is that you wear it so often. Yeah. It's that investment. And then also, you're correct with the relics. Jewelry is the one thing that you can pass down generation after generation after generation. And it does have a story behind it. So I think jewelry is beautiful. Like, I think the industry and how people use it can be so beautiful. And when we look at the jewelry influx that's currently happening, one of the case studies and really one of the ways that you know that jewelry is currently on the rise is right now when we look at runways, we're seeing maximalist jewelry on minimalistic clothing. Ooh, which is switching the narrative around clothing. Yeah. And it's like, okay, clearly accessories is going to be the key to expressing that individuality.
Yeah. So question for you with that, with jewelry brands kind of being front and center now, do we see them kind of tapping in or taking advantage of that because the luxury space is slowing down? Like, how do you feel like you're seeing that come to life? The runway shows. Is there any other signals to you that the jewelry brands are like, this is our moment. We need to catch this?
A lot of collabs, a lot of jewelry collabs going on. Yeah. A lot of partnering with runway shows to make it happen. That's how you see a lot of jewelry on the runways is partnerships. Yeah. So a lot of right now we're seeing a lot of jewelry brands partner with these brands. We're seeing a lot of people open jewelry brands and open jewelry stores all of a sudden. And really that, and just because I think it's such a small intersection. Like it's such a small intersection because whereas we talk about like we like wearing jewelry, a lot of women do not. Yeah. A lot of women do not wear jewelry. And when
that's true, I know think women who don't even have their ears pierced.
Exactly. Yeah. I think when you go one for one, there's more women that don't wear jewelry versus women that do. And that's just because, especially right now, when we think about this clean aesthetic that's going on. Yeah. This clean, and we listen. What show am I watching? That love story show with the Kennedy son and his wife, and she did not wear any jewelry. She was at Calvin Klein, didn't wear any jewelry at all. We look at a Sophia Richie, no jewelry. We look at a Kendall Jenner, no jewelry. We look at these people that have been seen, that are currently seen as fashion heads in certain worlds.
Yeah. To me, it also signals class when you're not wearing the jewelry. It's almost like, I don't need to,
Exactly. Like, that's exactly what it gives. And it's one of those things that, because it is classes. It is like, as you go farther up, you see less jewelry, and you see people trying to emulate that.
Now, this could be a whole nother podcast. Okay. We talk about that too within like hip hop culture and how that is the jewelry. When you, especially like when new artists get signed, what is the first thing that the label gives them? They give them a chain. Like, it is a status symbol for, especially within the hip hop culture.
It is.
And so I think the opposite then has to detach, or you kind of detaching or distancing yourself. You have to almost do the opposite. Not necessarily saying, oh, because hip hop culture is doing. I'm just saying in general, like when we talk about old money, there's certain signals that they give of like, oh no.
And it's yes, and I agree on so many different levels. I agree, and it's one of those things. As this is where it comes into play that when you get dressed, who are you getting dressed for?
Yeah.
This is when that comes into play because I know my culture. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm doing what I want to do. If I am inspired by the black women that I knew in the 90s, because that's what inspires me. That's why I wear gold. Yeah. I'm not a silver girl. I'm a gold girl just based off of that era.
In our DNA.
It is.
It's literally in our DNA and how we were kind of ornamented way back then.
Way in the back. Way. So it's one of those things that, like I said, people try to emulate and people try to switch it up. But it's like if you're true to who you are, that's all that matters. And jewelry is something that is used as a way to accessorize, especially and to speak to your individuality, especially if we're in a period of economic depression and we're in a period of, I don't want to say we're in depression, but our economics is looking a little rough. We don't know what's going on. Gas is $3.50. Gas is $3.50. It's on its way to $4.
Listen.
It's on its way.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a good point because even with that said, with us in this economic space, if you're someone kind of switching gears, if you're someone in this space, in this economy,
yes,
trying to build something.
Oh gosh.
Right? Sometimes it's kind of giving you have to be a bit scrappy. It's giving you have to understand what your resources are.
Exactly.
So that kind of brings us into our next space around creating resources for yourself as a creative when you feel like maybe you don't have a lot to work with.
Yes, I agree. Because last episode we talked about, okay, this is how you leverage your 9 to 5 in your creative journey. So if we're at that beginning stage, what do we do when we first start off and you don't actually have the resources? Because resources are just tools that you use to make your way on up.
Absolutely.
Which could look like money, which could look like just the tools. It could look like a whole bunch of different things. But how are we, after we leverage that 9 to 5, if we can't do that, how are we creating our resources for ourselves? So
absolutely. So firstly, I know the first question that we wanted to tackle of this is like, what resources did you kind of tap into when you first started? What are some things that you had to get real scared? And us, we're very resourceful.
Very resourceful. Yeah, I could make something out of nothing quickly. Right. I could make something.
So what did that look like for you starting your brand? And which brands? You are a brand. You are a business girl. Okay?
I was. I did so much stuff. Yes. Yeah. What did that look like? Okay, so the first thing was starting Fibers. So much. First thing was starting Fibers, and I think the first thing I did to create resources was I figured out what I needed to learn for myself and what I could actually spend outsourcing. That was the very first thing I did. I had a website, of course.
Can I add something to that question if you don't have the answer to it? How did you know to even ask that question? And I'm being so serious because sometimes it's like, oh, well, I just know. Some of the things come so intuitively to some people, but some people, maybe you learned it through, we talked about 9 to 5 in our last episode. Some people learn or pick it up through, maybe you have a mentor, maybe, how did you know that was something maybe it was your education? Yeah. That was something you even had to consider?
I just knew I couldn't do everything. Yeah. Because there were moments in my life where I tried to do everything and I said, this doesn't make sense. I'm only one person, so what can I actually do? So the first thing was building a website. Yeah. I don't have anybody to code. I'm gonna buy a couple coding books. Yeah. To this day, I know how to put, if a website crashes, I know how to fix it.
That is so crazy though. But you know what's wild about this conversation, even hearing you say that, is that this is going to age us in so many ways, because the way this generation has Chat GPT is going to be like, you had to get a book? You had to do what? That's crazy.
I did not have Claude. I did not have Claude. What I had was the bookstore.
Yeah.
I would go to Barnes and Noble because I was like, okay, I know I needed a website for this. I would go to WordPress, make the website, and I was like, okay, if this crashes, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Because I can't hire. I ain't got no money. I can't hire anybody. So I said, let me learn coding real fast, which is a crazy thing to say. Let me learn coding real fast, girl. What? And I would open up, I still have that book to this day.
Yeah.
I would open up the book, and I'm very like aesthetic driven.
Yeah.
So if there was a picture that was too big, I would go to the book and be like, how do I make this picture smaller? Type in the code, be like, okay, that works. But it was one of those things where I'm like, okay, I know this is a skill that I am going to need to have because I will always have a website. Absolutely. I will always have a website. Now, the app, all that other stuff, I'm like, I don't know how to do it. But I can at least fix my new thing. So that was my first thing, is understanding what resource I actually had to create that I would need, that I can just instill in myself, especially if it's really quick. If it's a really quick little 1, 2, 3, I'm like, oh, okay, I can figure that one out. Yeah. So what about you?
No, that's so good. And my answer, it's making me think about something, because I was going to speak to how I'm a researcher. So
me too.
That's how I'm a very curious person in general. So for me, when I first started the Zeal, it was going to be a blog, and I was just going to write my thoughts and that sort of thing. But I wanted to start with a website, and of course, when I started, I didn't know how to build a website. So very similar to you, but I did not necessarily. One thing about me, I'm very much like, I want to work smarter, not harder. Not that that's, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But I was like, I'm going to find some templates that I'm going to do some research about. So I found all these websites that had like templates that were created. So I was someone, and still someone, who's going to research down. I would spend hours researching something. So that way, so then once I get that information, then it's quick to, it's quick. I like to build systems more so, and so it does require you to do the heavy lifting first. So then once you kind of set the foundation, so for me, learning WordPress, learning templates, all of that was back then. This was pre-TikTok, pre-AI, all of that. Where you're on YouTube, you're on Google, you're just researching. Maybe Reddit was, the forums where, it's giving information to each other. Hey, has anyone had this issue with this code?
There's some Reddit things that I go to. It says 10 years old. I said, whoa, I'm not gonna look at this one.
Yeah,
but it's so interesting that you say that, because same person. We're the same person, different tactics. It reminds me of what I did to get into SCAD, and I had nothing. I started a blog for about 3 months, and I went heavy. I'm doing 3. Okay, I thought this was 4 for a second. I went crazy for 3 months.
Yes.
I started a blog, and I posted twice a day. And this is when I had a random mannequin. It would be my own clothes, and I would be like, outfit inspired by Channel Orange.
Channel Orange? Hold on. Frank Ocean?
Yes. And I did an outfit on, because I had a mannequin I bought a mannequin like at a thrift store.
Yeah.
Secondhand, but I was like, no, I really want to get into SCAD. And I didn't have a portfolio.
Yeah.
I had no portfolio. I had not taken a lick of an art class. I hadn't done anything. And I said, okay, I'm going to go purchase a quick little mannequin.
Yeah.
Purchase a mannequin. I started drawing on my own. I got some drawing, but I said, I gotta learn how to draw it fast.
Oh my God.
I started drawing quick little illustrations, and I would go album by album and do song for song for song for song. And I would take pictures and I would do an outfit grid. And I did that for about I think I did it for about 3 months when I knew I was about to apply for SCAD, and I put it all in a portfolio.
That is, I love that story because now I think that's opening up, and I want to say idea, but if SCAD takes it, we have to get our credit for it because there needs to be a forum for like stories of like how we were scrappy with our portfolios. Because this is not the first time I've heard someone like kind of bootstrapping to get a portfolio together, including myself, because I went to SCAD for writing, and to get a scholarship, you had to like find a piece of work and write about it and like go into detail about why it inspired, just really just dissect and annotate this piece of work. And I was just like, I'm like, what, 15, 16? I'm like, what the heck? What art am I going to? And I remember my mom had this like, she had in the console, as Black women do, in her car, some albums. So I went through, I was like, I'm gonna do it on music. And she had this Bob Marley not cassette. That's crazy. Cassette. We're not that old. But it was you know, when they have like those albums that have each of the CDs within the album. I don't know, there's a name for it. Yes, okay. But it had all the Bob Marley sort of songs. So I was like, I'm gonna do it on Bob Marley. So I just took it and I listened to it and I just annotated each song and created and put together a portfolio for it, and I got a scholarship. Right?
I got in. Yeah, I got into the school. It was so scrappy, but that's what it takes when you're creating resources. You have to get scrappy. You have to be like, listen, I'm gonna make a way out of no way, which makes me think of which makes me want to ask you, do you currently use any of the resources that you created out of scrappiness? Or are there any techniques that you use?
Yeah, but they change. So like I just mentioned, as they should, you know, with WordPress or like Squarespace or any of those sort of blog type website building platforms, they've changed, and I still use those to run the Zeal, and so they have transformed and they make it a lot easier than it was before. So you don't have to do as much work. So if you're just coming into it, you're like, oh, this is easy, but which is kind of good too, because we've had to do so much research and we know so much. We're coming into it, then we're able to fix bugs a little bit quicker. We can rely on ourselves a little bit more as business owners because we come from this background where we had to be scrappier. Now the answers are given to us. Ourselves
so crazy.
I know, but like it's happening.
It was a thing, because it makes me think of even now, like even now in this digital age when I didn't have money, but I wanted to do something, I would, for example, do what I needed to do on the free platform. And if I had to turn it in, I would press free trial. And and I had a week. And I said, okay, so now all I have to do, I got 2 hours to plug everything into the best one, and then I'm sending it. And you need to look at it, because this is getting deleted. This guy is getting deleted in a little while. Right. But it's like doing things like that is when you have no resources. I think one of the resources that I utilized, or techniques I utilized in the beginning that I still utilize now, is my thought to execution window is small. It's tiny. It is. And it's one of those things that I realized leveraging a 9-to-5.
It is. I was just thinking about all the things we've had conversations on. You're like, thinking about doing this, and literally right after we get off the phone, it is done. It is done. I'm like,
it's small. That window's small. That window is so small, and it's small because I leveraging that 9-to-5. Going back to that conversation, I've worked for small brands and I've worked for big, huge Fortune 500 companies. Yeah. And I see how long it takes to get things from start to finish. Yeah. And that's one thing about a small company that I have always admired. It does not take them that long. Yeah. They think it, they say it, and they do it. And it's something that it takes a bigger company so long, and I see them lose so much money over it. And I was like, oh, okay. If it's about just getting the idea out there, getting it out of my brain, getting it out there, and from that standpoint, seeing if it's something that I need to hold on to and I need to take advantage of. But I think that's one of my scrappy techniques that I will always use to the end. It's because it's so vital. It's so vital just to get it out and stop thinking about it. Because that's another problem that a lot of people have is just the thought process of it, and you outthink and you do that.
And I think we overthink what that looks like too, because being scrappy could be using a friend to to help you do something that they have a skill for. It could be going to networking events that are free and just showing up and meeting new people and seeing how you can exchange and trade skills.
I used to print stuff off at the library. Yeah. Let me tell y'all one thing: the best resource you can have is your local library.
That's true.
Your local. The way it only takes 5 cents to print something. Yeah. And you get 10 copies free. I was like, oh, okay, perfect. I used to be using the internet.
I stayed in the library. Listen.
But I say stayed in the library. And then I think another thing when you're creating your own resources that you made me think about, which I think is really maybe my footnote or my tip or whatever, is that to this day, I think which is a resource that a technique that I still use is I only work laterally. I do not. It is a fighting, losing game as a creative trying to work with or get to the person that's like a couple notches above what you're doing.
Yeah. You got to outgrow that.
You have to outgrow it, and you have to work with the people that are sitting next to you, that are on the same level as you, that have the same title as you. That's the person that you need to be BFFs with. That's the when we say creating our own resources, and like you said, a network is a resource. You do not create a network by going to somebody else that's like over top of you or whatever. Like, talking to them is nice, but don't let their experience or whatever get you. The people that are the next Ryan Coogler's, the next Issa's, the next Karina and Maya are sitting right next to you. And those are the people, because that's what I wish I would have done more of in college. As social as I am right now, I was not that social in college. When I was at SCAD, I was not like that. And I'm like, oh, there's tools that I missed out on because I was so worried about the next level and the people in the next level that I didn't look at the person next to me.
That could be a whole episode in and of itself, because I really do think people believe that when it comes to strategy and building your creative portfolio or just getting yourself out there, that you have to in some ways rub elbows with people who seemingly are doing better than you.
And
you do not have to do that. And I think because when you start to create that mindset, it starts to build a sense of desperation, to be honest. People get desperate.
And people can spell desperation a mile away. I'm gonna tell you that much too.
You have to have something when you, and the thing about when you are collaborating upwards, you have to bring something to the table.
You do.
And I think people oftentimes want to, use opportunities or people to get things or get what they want out of a situation, but you need to analyze what your value is and what you bring.
Exactly.
And because that's what they're going to want to know and want to see. So just be resourceful and work with people, because at the end of the day, you are that person. You know what I mean? You are that person. You don't have to think of yourself in that way. That's a mindset shift I had to have too. Is like, I'm also talented. I also have people who are very talented that I work with and that I know that are friends and all of those things. And so we can work together and build things together.
Exactly. And it's like, the hard thing with that when it comes to creating resources is the type of city that you live in.
Yeah.
Because also you have to realize that some resources are going to be gatekept from you.
Yeah.
And they're going to be kind of locked up. And that's when it comes to working with other creatives that are just as scrappy as you are in a different way. So it's like if I have one tool and you have the other, we may be able to build a table together, but you couldn't build it by yourself.
That's how you have to do it.
That's exactly how you have to do it. And it's like creating these resources, it can feel discouraging. Yeah. It can feel discouraging, it can feel hard, and it can feel like, okay, especially in the social media era, we go back to social media. Yeah. You're comparing it to what you see on social media. Woo.
You can't compare.
You cannot compare. It's like, oh well, this person is doing this and this looks different and da da da. You have to start somewhere. And it really makes me think of nobody ever makes anybody that's successful has never made fun of anybody starting.
Okay.
Ever.
Ooh, I'm so glad you said that because that's something we need to talk very, very quickly.
Okay, let's get into it.
When it comes to social media, we were talking earlier about Ari,
yes,
Ami Collet. But that's still
same thing. Kind of previous episode. What were we talking about?
We were talking about Ari. Hanifa.
Oh,
it was Rachel Omondi.
Yes, Rachel Omondi, yes.
Yeah, so when we're talking about people criticizing and public shaming when it comes to creatives, one thing that I have noticed that people who are really in the lab and really are working or trying to build something, they're not the ones doing that. They are not the ones.
They're not pointing the finger at you,
babe. They are not pointing the finger.
They're not.
We are not out here Twitter fingers or whatever you want to call it. We're not doing that because we understand what it is to build something. And that doesn't take away the accountability factor.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that to, point a divide around that. But I'm just saying that when you're doing something, you can have a sense of empathy. And so when you start building and trying to create something, you start to, you be quiet.
Those comments are never on your side, man. Those comments are never on your side.
Yeah.
But you're right.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you said that because that's
a fact. Like the other creatives that are creating, one, they're busy.
Too busy.
Don't get me started on that.
They're busy.
But two, they're just they understand.
Yeah.
They understand. And you know what? To be completely honest, there was a point where I was at that stage, and then as I started to grow in my career, and as I started to get bigger, where I was judging people, and I was very like, oh, why would they do that? And and I was very judgy in that light. As I started to grow, I started to see that I was halting my own process because I thought everybody was thinking like me. And because I was so judgy, I then put that judgment off on myself. And it makes me think of this. I was on TikTok and this guy was like, being harsh, it's not worth being harsh. Nothing's worth it. Like, even when you're harsh to yourself, it's not worth it. Being harsh to somebody else, it's not worth it. It's never worth it. And once you realize that and you start creating these resources and you start to get scrappy and you let the freedom to just think and be and create and do what you need to do to get to your goal, everything just gets lighter and it gets better and it gets more fun. You want a light life. You want to be light when creating. Yeah. You do. But yeah, what would be your footnotes for this episode?
My footnotes would be, you first of all need to scan your situation and see what's working for you. There has to be a mindset shift around what you do and do not have. I think sometimes in your mind you can get caught up on what you don't have and you're like, well, I just can't do it because I don't have this, I don't have that. There's always a way. There's always a way. I also say God meets you at your effort. So lean on community, attend the free networking events, apply to the grants, post the content, do and act. Do not stay stagnant because when you act, God will meet you at your effort.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I like that a lot. I don't have a footnote for this episode.
Period.
But it's the end of the season, so I need to have one. But no, I think my footnote for this episode would be to when you're creating your own resources and really just in your creative journey in general, do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just act. When you said act, it like triggered something in me because I'm like, people don't act enough. Just who cares? Just act. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. The thought, oh, that's my footnote. Your thought to execution stage should be short. It should not be long. It just shouldn't. It should be short. It should be short. Of course, maintain to what the project is, but it should be short. It should be short. And it should be short. Don't make it long.
Love it. Wow. Yes, we did it. Season 1 has commenced. Thank y'all so much for joining us. And if this is your first episode, you need to go back and watch all the other episodes. Subscribe, like, comment, engage. Follow us on the Zeal.life and the Zeal.edit. Again, I'm Demaya.
And I'm Karina. And next season, we're not introducing ourselves because you should know. Next season, we're not doing that. You should know who I am.
You should know us. We friends now. All right. We will see y'all season 2.
All right. Toodles.